to prep us for this unknown quagmire that is called an election. I want to bring in Mark Zell from Jerusalem. This man may hold history in his two hands if he can mobilize some of the 500,000 Americans living in Israel who are qualified to vote in swing states. No pressure, Mark. Just update us. How are you doing?
Well, I'm barely staying awake after the all-night vigil that we had between Tuesday and Wednesday to listen to the presidential debate. I was on television an hour before during the entire 1.5 hour debate, and then moved to another channel, Channel 14, by the way, the only conservative broadcast channel in Israel, announced today that it surpassed the leading channel in Israel, Channel 12, in the coverage of the presidential debate here. So that's an impressive achievement. Anyway, I'm staying awake. Hopefully I'll be able to talk to you. The situation here is in the voting area. We have launched this in the past, I'd say, week, 3 major digital blasts to approximately 200,000. We call them first generation Americans out of the 200,000 out of the 500,000. And we were pleased to see that only 10,000 of our messages, which went by SMS and email. Tonight there was a phone call, which I was able to introduce, and only 10,000 of the 200,000 were rejected. And we're now focusing on getting the second generation Americans, the children of folks like myself, to come and register before October 7th. That was a difficult task, actually, but October 7th changed all of that. And I can say that many of the second generation Americans were serving in the IDF as reservists, including 3 of my own sons. They have now understood the importance of exercising this extraordinary privilege they have to affect U.S.-Israeli relationships, the future of Israel, the United States, and somewhat even would say the world. So that's something that's happening now. And we put together a number of video clips featuring folks like Mark Levin, who is recovering from a serious fall, and Jim Jordan, the Judiciary Committee chairman, Marco Rubio, senator from Florida, and I think soon David Friedman will be the former ambassador will be giving us a clip to let everybody know here how important it is to vote. In terms of actual voting, it has not started here yet. We won't. The folks here in Israel won't get their absentee ballots until about a week from today. So that's the federal law. And once that happens, we'll be faced with another challenge, and that is how to get all of these hundreds of thousands of ballots back to the election boards in the United States without violating federal and state election laws. It's a monstrous challenge, but we've got some ideas about it, and we're using that, what they call the Yiddish Kopf, the Jewish brain, in order to deal with it. Before I finish, I know I only have 3 minutes. I may have probably exceeded it already, Edwin, but I wanted just to mention one other thing in the kind of foreboding news department. You talked about Iran's nuclear threat. You talked about China and so on. There's a lot of mumblings, that's your expression, around Israel about the imminent breakout of war on our northern front against Lebanon and Hezbollah. I've been on television all week long, and I'm hearing a lot of the Israeli pundits, the security folks, saying that this is imminent. And the defense minister, Gallant, just today indicated that he shifting he said the weight or focus or concentration of Israeli forces up to the northern border. That has to happen because the constant barrage of Hezbollah drones and missiles on our northern communities from the western Galilee, Nahariya, all the way to the Golan Heights and the Syrian border there has made life impossible. And the Hezbollah is just daily throwing hundreds of missiles at our northern settlements. So anyway, that's what's happening here. Edwin, I hope that answers what you wanted me to respond to, and I'll shoot it back to you.
Well, I got a couple of questions. First of all, how many votes in Pennsylvania are you going to deliver for the Republicans?
Well, we think we have about 15,000 in Pennsylvania. Most of our voters here come from states like New York, New Jersey, Illinois, California. We've made a big point about getting them to vote too, because a lot of them think that those in the blue states they don't need to vote. But today alone, I registered about 20 from Arizona, and we had another 30 or 40 today from Michigan. Pennsylvania, they're coming in droves, and even in Georgia, we have a number of votes, a few thousand votes. All of those votes, if they actually, these folks, low propensity voters as they're called, actually come and register and vote, could change the outcome or affect the outcome of the election in all those swing states. And those swing states, of course, can determine the outcome of the election nationally in the Electoral College.
Now,
So
are the American Jews in Israel as dopey as the American Jews in the United States?
no,
Are,
no. This
are
is
they are they still asleep?
Well, they're a lot of them are asleep, but I have to say the interest or the energy that I've seen in the last few weeks has been extraordinary. I've been doing this close to over 30 years. I've never seen anything like this. There's a lot of interest, a lot of concern, and the important thing, Edwin, is that these people are voting 80 to 90% Republican. And that is, of course, important. Everybody here in Israel, with the exception of a very small minority, understands that the fate of Israel is really in the hands of the Republican Party and Donald Trump as president. So that's something which is completely opposite to what's happening to the Jewish community in the United States.
Yeah, the Jewish community in the United States is only about 25% for Trump, and the rest are just racing to catch the train that is going to be launched if Kamala Harris gets into power. Now, Phyllis, who's in Jerusalem and is watching you now, she's assured me she's going to give a falafel sandwich to every one of your guys who votes for Trump. So when you're done,
well, put her in touch. Oh, that's great. That's the incentive we need. That may be exactly what we need to get them off their duffs.
well, in Chicago, they gave away, in Philadelphia, they gave away turkeys. But I think just a falafel sandwich with a couple of peppers in there is just enough. Mark, one last thing.
Sure.
Are we going into Lebanon?
I think we are. I think that's what these folks are saying, who have their hand on the pulse of our security establishment. I don't think they have a choice, Edwin. The constant bombardment of Hezbollah infrastructure, weapons depots, and so on in Lebanon has really done nothing to deter the Hezbollah and its allies, really all controlled by Iran, of course, from striking daily against Israel. In their view, and in mine, not that I'm a great expert in this area, is that the only way really to push Hezbollah away from our border and to allow the tens of thousands of evacuees to return to their homes and businesses is to bring ground troops into Lebanon. And that's what I understand is in the works. I have very mixed feelings about this. I've got 3 sons that, as I mentioned, and there are thousands of other young men are going to be called up to put their lives, and women, put their lives on the line in order to make that happen. But in any case, we need it. We can't survive under these circumstances. We need to take this action.
All right, Mark, thank you for your contribution, for your work. Richie, I know you're watching out there. Thank you for the work you're doing. Phyllis, start forking over the falafel sandwiches.